Hey everyone, welcome to our hometown publisher interviews, where we discuss the innovative digital strategies of local newspapers. Today I am joined by one of my favorite customers, the Henrico Citizen, a truly innovative publication and a shining example of what is possible on our WordPress platform. Today, joining us, we have from the Citizen, publisher Tom Lappas. Welcome, Tom.
Hey, Matt, how are you? Good to be here.
I'm doing well, man. Thank you for coming back.
Absolutely.
And joining Tom today from Henrico is Tara Gray. Welcome, Tara.
Hi, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for joining me today. The reason I wanted to get together with you guys is I heard through the grapevine, through one of your newsletters, that you started a third podcast. So in late, I think November 2019, you just started your first one, and this is your third. So I just really wanted to get you guys both on the phone and just hear a little bit about the new podcast and talk a little bit about your process for creating it, Tara, because I think a lot of publishers would like to be doing this, but they're a little intimidated, to get into a whole new medium. It just seems like too much. So to start us off, Tara, can you just describe, let's start with Today in Henrico. Just give us the description of that podcast.
Sure. Well, Today in Henrico actually came after Monday Moms.
Right.
So I kind of pitched Monday Moms to Tom back in January, November. And everything happened with COVID. So that came to a screeching halt almost as soon as it started. Right. Fast forward to a couple months ago, Tom said, I like what you're doing with Monday Moms. You sound natural. I don't know that I could do it any better. I like it. I think it's great. There's a lot of potential there. Right. And I was reaching out to guests. I just really took a leadership role. He let me just really kind of go with my gut instinct. That's really all I had. Right. I had no problem coming up with topics and reaching out to guests and just saying, hey, this is what Monday Moms is. Would you like to join me? And then Tom said, I'm thinking about adding another one for us. Would you like to host it? So I said, sure, yes, absolutely. And he said, first, I'd like to reach out to nonprofits. I would like to, hopefully it's a way to help them spread the word and help get the message out there. And he doesn't tell me who to contact or what to say or what to ask. He's really letting me, he has confidence in me, and he's just let me go with it. And I'm pleased with it. I think it's going really good.
Absolutely. Yeah, I just want to say I have listened to several episodes of this, so, and actually all three of the podcasts, but and I know Monday Moms was first, but let's just talk about Today in Henrico for a second, sure. And then we'll go back.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to play a quick clip here just to give people an idea of the basic feel here of how this would work. So if I'm listening to this, I start play, and this is what you're going to hear.
I'm Tara Gray. Today in Henrico, my guest is Charlita Richardson, President and CEO of the nonprofit Partnership for the Future. This nonprofit has helped more than 700 students prepare for college and the workplace. Hi, Charlita. How are you?
Hi, Sarah. I'm well. How are you?
Beautiful. As you can tell, maybe I kind of stole something. I usually don't do a whole intro like you do there. I really like how you did that. You give some background, you introduce the guest, and you just get right into it. And so this format is about a 10, maybe to 12-minute interview, right?
Right.
Okay. And so to contrast that with Tom's original Henrico News Minute, which is very much like a short update, edited together, music in the background, fast-paced, like a radio show. Yours is really more like what I would think of as a typical podcast, where it's just, it can go on for as long as it needs to, but it seems like you kind of keep it to about 10 minutes. Is that how long the conversation is, or do you usually edit it down quite a bit?
Well, I think Tom and I both agreed that this would kind of be, I always tell the guest as I'm explaining the process to think of it as a mini podcast. So we just kind of want to get the meat and potatoes of the nonprofit, all the important information. And it
Right.
is, sometimes it's tough to go in the 10-minute window, but it seems like that's a good amount of
Right, for
time for
sure.
something like
Right, right. We're just trying to get the word out on a lot of different nonprofits. So, and I think it's wonderful that you're targeting the nonprofits. It reminds me of this program that we've talked about in old interviews where, you're donating advertising space, to these nonprofits. So overall, just Henrico seems to be, just such a huge leader in being a champion for local nonprofits. So this is just another example of that. So I didn't actually pick up on that, but now I see that is definitely clearly the pattern here. Special Olympics, Partnership for the Future, Housing Families, Ronald McDonald House, that kind of thing. So the goal of this then, like you said, would be to just promote these organizations and just increase the awareness of what they're doing and allow them to get their message out, right?
that. Right. Yes, correct.
Okay. And so you got a 10-minute interview, you go into it. I mean, I have a list of questions here, so I kind of have my own process. I'm curious about yours.
Right.
You kind of write out that intro maybe ahead of time, and then you have like 4 or 5 questions, and then you kind of wrap it up, or what is the general structure in your mind for the interview?
Obviously, research. I mean, you can't really ask questions if you don't know if you have no information or background.
Right.
So obviously that always starts with going on their website. And, if I were a listener and someone said to me, hey, I'm speaking with someone from Ronald McDonald House, what would I want to know or hear?
Right.
So I approach it as if I'm a listener and what are the main points that I would want to hear in 10 minutes. And so when I'm on the website, I'm just looking for information, kind of like a really quick way to introduce is history. And
Right.
I've found that format is working really well. Just having them begin with how the nonprofit started, to me, it's always interesting to know how this nonprofit began, and then the why. So I like to connect the dots with how, when, and why, and then what are you doing now? And
Right.
let's get your information out.
Right. Very cool. Yeah, I mean, come to think of it, that's kind of how I present our company too when I start talking. People want to know who you are. It's not just a name and a product. It's like, who is this company? Who actually runs this? Who are the people involved? And what's their story? What drives them? Why are they interested in this? That's exactly right. You do have to think of it from the listener's perspective. And that's, for me, our listeners are publishers. So I'm trying to, ask you questions that they are going to be interested in. So hopefully I'm doing that here. Now, so you said background. Oh, and all I was going to say is that model seems like it could be applied to any kind of advertiser. It doesn't have to be a nonprofit business. Just speaking to other publishers, just to go to the advertiser's website, look at it, and just what questions pop up. Those are questions that potential customers are going to be asking when they go to their site, or when they hear about them. So if you can ask those proactively and have the advertiser say it, in their own words, and hear their voice. I mean, it's just something about it that's different to hear the business owner's voice rather than just seeing it written on a website,
Yes, and you can often capture emotion that way.
Exactly. Right. You hear the passion. Exactly. Okay. And that's really what people, I think, respond to. So excellent. Yeah. And that's a whole thing that, just talking about the podcasting medium, that's a whole thing that's just completely left out of traditional newspaper medium, which is, text, right? We can't capture that kind of stuff. So this is a way to do that. Now, how are we promoting this right now? This might be more of a question for Tom. I don't know, Tara, if you're involved in that, but how do you guys get the word out on these 3 podcasts?
Yeah, so we hope. Well, I'll back up. Initially, we would link directly to the hosting site that we use for the podcast, which is Buzzsprout.
Right.
And then I realized that I was missing a chance to capture traffic on our own site. So now we run essentially like an article with the podcast embedded on our own site for each of our podcasts, and we direct people back there so that now we're getting people to our site, building up our traffic a little bit. We push these all out on social media. So with this one, because there's really not a lot of editing involved, I mean, literally 10 minutes before we are recording this, Tara finished today's episode.
Yeah.
I pulled it down, I uploaded it, I put it on our website, and it's there, and we pushed it out.
Amazing.
Yeah, so it's very quick. I like that, and I think like Tara said, we wanted to give people just another way to feel some connection with, in this case, mostly nonprofits, but it's just it's a conversation. It's a way for people to, and I think it's a way for us too to, a lot of these people are names that we interact with, but maybe I had never talked with them, or we had never talked with them. Now we get to have that conversation. They feel more connected with us. We feel more connected with them. We share it, they share it.
Yeah. Right.
And a lot of these folks have never, some of these people are obviously the face of their organization. So of course they've been on TV and they've been on radio, but
I see.
Many of them haven't been, haven't had like a 10-minute conversation like this. So it's just another way, I think, for them to get the word out.
Right. Well, I love that. I have, I can definitely appreciate the whole synergistic element, because like you're basically creating free publicity for them, and they can take that podcast and share it elsewhere. So that's a way to get more of an audience. We're sharing it with our audience, but I think what you nailed, the point that you hit there that I really liked, is just having this program for a regular, personal, in touch kind of meeting with these advertisers or potential advertisers, whatever the case may be. Just having that personal touch. I mean, that's kind of exactly what I'm doing right now, and I feel like, Tom, like, we've gotten to know each other way better since we started doing these. Like, it was great before and everything, but we didn't really talk that much. So I can totally appreciate that. It's just more active outreach. If nothing else, it's that, to keep the conversation going with them.
Yeah, I think that's right. And I'll point out that these are not folks who are paying for this. So, these are just people that Tara's reaching out to. We can talk a little later, I guess, about how we're hoping to monetize this. But yeah, these organizations are happy to come on and like you said, get free publicity. What I like about these that's a little different from the podcast that I do, the News Minute, is that, as Tara's doing them and we're posting them, it doesn't really matter if people aren't in droves going to listen right away, because these don't really age out. You can go back 3 weeks later and listen to 10 of them in a row, and they're all going to be relevant still. So I kind of feel like we're building this base of really valuable information that people can go back to a month from now, 2 months from now. If they stumble onto it later, that's fine. And so our goal is to do one every weekday. We've done 15. I think Tara's done 15 so far in a month. So it's getting going, but that's kind of our ultimate goal, is to have one every day, 5 days a week. And then we're focusing on nonprofits first. I kind of envision this, that, we're eventually going to reach out to maybe government officials or just other community, we call them community newsmakers. So it's open-ended in that sense, where we didn't want to limit ourselves, but we did really want to make that concerted effort initially to go after, not go after, but to reach out to nonprofits and bring them in first, because, the other tie in here is that I've kind of set aside some funding from our Facebook grant to do this, and that's all COVID related. And so as you listen to these interviews, Tara's asking all these folks, like, hey, tell us about how the pandemic has impacted your organization. And we've heard some really interesting, stories about that, and how they've adapted and how they've tried to overcome things, and what struggles they've faced too. So there's that tie in there. It's not hard to tie something to COVID these days, but just another angle there.
For sure. No, I definitely. I was using that a lot myself as well. Okay, so that's really good background. Now let's see here. So reaching out to newsmen, I'm excited to see that if you do end up going towards politicians, because I feel like that you see a lot of these politicians going on, like, really, the presidential candidates specifically, they're going on podcasts now. You know, that's how they get the word out, because they can talk for like 2 hours. And it's not like a debate on CNN where they're on the stage and there's a buzzer and it doesn't even make sense anymore, especially when there's 20 people on the stage. So, right. Yeah, I think that's very cool to get into the local government and start interviewing these folks. You could interview candidates. Okay, so that's good to know that might be where we take this. Now, I have a quick question just about, see, I kind of have this idea that you have these different dimensions of media, right? So like with text, it's one dimensional because it's just text, it's just the information. With audio, it's immediately two dimensional because you have the same information, but it's spread out over time. And so, but we can still get that one dimension out of the 2D. So what I'm saying is, have you ever thought about taking the transcript or some highlights, some quotes, and putting it into an article on the site just to create more content from something that you've already done? You know what I mean?
Yes, and the answer is yes, I have. And that was kind of the initial thought was, hey, if we do these brief conversations, right, we'll have 10, 15 minutes of information. We can pull together kind of a little synopsis, run it as an article, embed the audio. Right. People can get a taste of it if they just want to skim it on text, or if they want to listen to the whole thing, they can do that. To be candid with you, because it's just the two of us doing this, I've not had the time to do the transcribing the way that I maybe would have wanted to.
I hear you.
But I do think that's a great idea. It's a great way to go about this. And then, like you said, you've got different ways that you can kind of use it,
right.
And again, it doesn't age. So I could see if there were more of us and I could put together maybe a more concerted effort. You tweet it out one day, and then a couple days later you put it on Facebook, and then you can keep kind of bringing it up to new audiences who maybe missed it the first time.
Right.
So there's a lot of different things you can do with it, but I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I can hear the wheels turning. Yeah, it's always a resource thing, and yeah, if we could do it anyway, we would create 5 different pieces of content from it, blast out clips on Instagram, and it just gets really complicated at that point. You kind of just need a social media manager doing that stuff, but we'll get there. So what's important is that you kind of see that you have that vision for what it could be. But I mean, right now we're like 99% of the way there. That's just kind of like taking it. It's like the 80-20 rule. We're 80% of the way there. The last 20% takes 80% of the effort.
That's right.
So this is, and the other thing I wanted to say is that the evergreen approach to it for the content, I think, is really important. Would you say that applies to Monday Moms too, Tara? Is this evergreen, or is this more newsy?
Could it be both? No. Well, that's a good one. I would say obviously the goal is to share information and share news, but it's not. I wouldn't really consider Monday Moms newsy, although the Monday Moms this week, my guest was Alexis Rogers. She is running for mayor of Richmond. So
okay, right.
I don't know that I consider that newsy. I mean, informative, obviously, but newsy, I'm not sure.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, it seems like it could kind of be in the middle, because I mean, a lot of this stuff, it's just topics of health, fitness, entertainment. I mean, that's all evergreen. So a lot of these probably are. But then, when you have a candidate where the race will pass eventually, I mean, it's somewhat more newsy. But this to me strikes me as like something right in the middle between Henrico News and Today in Henrico. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of nice. Yeah. You kind of have all bases covered in that way. Whatever people want to get, if they're more of a news junkie, they go to Henrico News Minute. If they just like podcasts, then Today in Henrico might be the way, right?
Yeah. I'd agree with that.
Very cool. Okay. Now, so we touched on Monday Moms a bit. I think let's circle back around to just, what do you guys see as the overall strategy for the podcast? let's start with Tom, like, and how it fits into the Henrico Citizen brand, let's say.
Yeah, I think with all of our podcasts, I try to look at them as an extension of our bread and butter, which obviously is the written word. But I started mine because I wanted to reach people who maybe would rather listen to the news than read it.
Right.
And I think we built a core group of people there. And then I thought, well, those people are interested in this. Would they be interested in a different format, listening to a brief conversation with someone?
Right.
With Monday Moms, we realized that we had a lot of moms reading our content on a daily basis. So what more could we give them that might be another way that they could consume our news, something else that would be meaningful to them, that would bring them back, that would get them talking.
Right.
That's kind of how Monday Moms was born.
Right.
And so, I think we're still in a place where it's a small group of people who are listening on a daily basis, but the
Right.
numbers have grown over time. And so that's encouraging to me. I still don't know. I don't really have a great sense of how many people out of our regular readers are super into podcasts or who are, super into this idea. But I just like the fact that it's not that complicated for us to do it.
Right.
I think it's gotten us some new attention, and it provides a source of daily content that we can push out there and just give people another option. If they like it, great. If they don't like it, they're not leaving us because they hate our podcasts. They
Right.
can just they can just read the news.
Right.
Or gloss over it. So
Exactly.
yeah, I think it helps us to the outside world. We become more of a multimedia organization now. We can say, hey, we've got 3 podcasts and they all differ a little bit.
Right.
And we're doing, now through you guys, we have an app, which is great.
Right.
You go to our regular website and read the news that way. Find us on social media. So just a lot of different ways. And I think you kind of have to be, if not omnipresent, as close to that as you can be these days to catch folks, where they want to find you, basically.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. There's not going to be any negative impact on the brand from doing something like cutting edge. It's always going to be a positive, I would think. But the only, I think, hesitation a lot of publishers have is the time commitment. They're afraid of the time. They think it's going to be this huge time consumer. So let's just pretend you're only doing Monday Moms. This is a weekly, roughly, right? Weekly podcast.
Right.
So that's probably the most, I don't know, practical thing that most of our customers can commit to, like a 10 or 20-minute weekly podcast. So how long do you think it would take you to just do this podcast, Tara? The recording, research, and editing.
Well, I start with an idea. So then I reach out to potential guests, speak with them. It's not immediate that I get a response. It takes sometimes a couple of days before I hear back.
Sure.
So I'm kind of just waiting, to see if this guest is going to work out. And then let's say it does work out, and then wait to see what their schedule is.
Right.
Book
There's
them.
all the logistics.
And, obviously I want to research.
For sure.
Book them, and then Monday Moms can go longer. So which means obviously a little bit more research, a little bit more loose, writing. I like for that to be, spontaneous too. So if it's going great and I look at the counter and it's 13 minutes, I'm not going to say, okay, thanks for joining me today. I have a little bit, I can make that a little longer.
For sure. Yeah. Makes sense. Okay.
But just because it is one day a week.
Yeah, right. There's all this lead up. There's all the logistics of organizing and scheduling. So that almost sounds like that's the majority of the time. Then you spend 20 to 30 minutes actually recording the podcast, and then there's not a whole lot of editing required, right? You just add your intro. You got an audio intro for this, your outro, maybe cut out something in the middle. Like I know I'm really perfectionist about stuff, and when I hear something in the video that I said I didn't like, I'll go back and cut it. But if you didn't do any of that, I think you could turn this around in probably about an hour, right, of actual production time. Okay, so the week, an hour a week plus organizing time that goes into that to contact your mayor or the candidate for the mayor or whoever it is you want to interview. Okay, that's some good numbers. Now, and one more thing just about getting started. Do you have any tips? We've kind of talked to Tom about this in one of our early interviews, and maybe you have something to add, Tom, but I think your tips for getting started were, it's easier than you think. You have a lot of the software already on your computer. Use the default stuff, GarageBand on, Macs, and then, get yourself some simple recording equipment just so you can kind of get started. And frankly, I don't even think you need that. You could just record right on your computer if you really, just wanted to try it out and see if you could publish something. So those were some of the tips that you had from our last conversation. Do you guys have anything to add just to, any tips for publishers getting into this space? Like, how to encourage them or how to make it seem less daunting?
Yeah, I think, my general advice would be figure out what your niche is. What is it that it's drawing people to you, and how can you expand on that? And it's going to vary publisher by publisher. Some may want to do that long form interview once a week. Some may find, like in our market, we seem to be finding that 10-minute window is about what people can get into, and maybe they don't have an hour to listen, but they've got 10 minutes. And so we've tried to kind of gear, 2 of our 3 shows to that time frame. But figure out what it is that what that niche is, and just try to build on that. And I think, and I would just say go for it, because you're not going to know how long it's going to take. You're not going to understand fully what's involved until you do it. And maybe the first week or 2 or several episodes, there's going to be a learning curve, but it's just become part of our routine now, I think. I know for me, in the morning, I record my show. It takes me 30 minutes. I edit it, and, another 15 minutes, we're good to go. Tara, I think, to that point with hers, where she, as she just said, she understands what the time commitment's going to be like. And you just it becomes sort of, you have a framework for how to do it. And then you just try to replicate it, each time.
Right. Got it. That's very good insight. Anything to add, Tara? Sorry.
Okay. I would say, don't be afraid to reach out, but you do have to have a good idea going into, before you even reach out to the guest. They'll ask you, well, what is this for? Or what is this about? Or what do you want me to talk about? They're looking to you. They want you to tell them.
Right.
Okay, I would like to talk about this, this, and this. They want it to be kind of spelled out for them. So before you even make contact for the first time, you have to know what that show is going to sound like.
Right.
You have to have a good idea of what that show is going to be before you even try to, book or schedule the guest to be a part of the podcast, because they're looking to you. They want to know, what do you want?
Right. Yeah. It's almost like part of the job of the host, to kind of curate the whole thing, make sure it goes smooth. So the best way to do that is to send an outline ahead of time. So I like that tip. I'm going to take that. I think I did that maybe one time with Tom in one of our other calls. But yeah, sending the outline ahead of time so that they know, they can kind of have some answers prepared, makes it a little less stressful for them maybe, This is kind of interesting because now you guys are the guests, so now you can kind of experience what it's like for them. I did not send you that outline ahead of time, so it probably reinforces your point.
No, I don't send an outline. It's something that I can share with them on the phone or an email, but I will tell them, this is kind of what I'm thinking. This is what I want to cover. This is what I'd like to ask. And then I find a way to kind of, so it doesn't sound like I'm grilling them. You know, it has to sound casual, and I tell them that, some people are different. They want to know what's coming at them. They don't want to be surprised. Others are like, you know what, I'll just go for it. But especially when you're talking to a nonprofit, they want to make sure they have all their information right there in front of them. So they do not forget anything. They want to include all that important information. So each one is different, but the same format applies.
Right. Got it. Okay, great. All right, so I pretty much just have one more question here, and it may be a kind of a big one. So Going back to your point, Tom, which I really liked, and this is a good advice for any publisher, even if not even doing podcasts, which is to deeply understand your audience and understand why people come to your site or buy your paper, exactly why, the demographics of that, and the connections between demographics and what you're writing about. There's a reason that people are part of our audience. And so we now have these 3 podcasts. One is clearly targeted towards moms. And then I don't know how you would characterize the demographic of these 2. It could be a lot of different things, but just especially here, I see like a really strong advertising opportunity because you have, congregated this audience for the advertiser. It's moms, right? So let's talk a little bit about that as part of your broader strategy. Is there any kind of sponsorship program you're thinking of, or that you're maybe doing it with Henrico News Minute? I'm not sure.
Yeah, so it's initially what we had done, and this was back a few months ago when we were still in print. We pretty much have given up the print side of things, probably for the duration. But back at that point, we had sort of our print advertisers would get a package of exposure, which included a sponsorship once or twice a month on the News Minute, a 15-second tag basically at the end. When we started Monday Moms, we put together a separate media kit just for that, and we said, here's what our pricing is going to be on a per episode basis, essentially. And Tara was having some good luck just approaching people. I mean, she hadn't even recorded but 1 episode at that point, and she was getting hospitals interested, daycare chains interested, buying in.
Perfect. Yeah.
And honestly, at a higher level than I even expected to be able to sell at that point.
Really?
Then when COVID hit, obviously we kind of had to back off from that. Nobody was spending money on,
daycare.
much of anything. And so now I think we've just been talking about this week. My plan now is to kind of recircle, and I think we are going to package all 3 podcasts together, so that we can go to people and say, and not that they're all going to hit the exact audience that maybe one advertiser might want, but we find like now I can look at our monthly downloads combined of these 3 shows and show people, hey, we're getting 4,000 or 5,000 downloads a month, among these 3.
Right.
Is that something that would interest you? And I think it's easier than saying, hey, here's a once a week opportunity. But now if we can go with a month-long package and show them how, we have this core group of committed listeners across these 3 platforms.
Right.
And is it worth it to you to want to put your message in front of them for 2 weeks, a month, 3 months, whatever.
Right.
So that's kind of how we're looking at it. Now, I think if we had a bigger staff, maybe I would segment them out a little bit.
Right.
But it's just sort of from an ease of discussion standpoint to say, hey, here's our monthly podcast package. You're going to get all 3 of them. It's one rate. And then it's just easier for us to manage. I think it's easier for them to understand.
Right.
And at this point, because we are seeing still some fluctuation in how many people are listening to each individual episode of any one of them, but collectively, here are the numbers for a month, and I think there's some strength in that.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, that's how I would approach it too. You don't need to overthink it and break it up, and then because then you don't know what didn't work about it. Was it that the numbers weren't there, or was it the way we split it up? So now you're offering podcasts kind of to replace print almost. It sounds like.
Yeah, in a way. And I think that the key thing again is that I've kind of been raised on here in the industry is you don't want to sell on price. You want to get people excited about your mission and what it is that you're doing. And when they buy into that, the price becomes secondary. And I think Tara found that out initially with Monday Mom. Because it was she was the one going to advertisers and saying, hey, this is our show, this is my idea, this is why I'm passionate about it, and this is what it's going to be like. Right. They bought into that. They didn't even care how much it cost. They said, sign us up, we're interested. Yeah. We love the concept of it.
Yeah.
So when you connect someone with your mission like that, then they're bought in. And I think it's just, for us, it works both ways. We can say to them, hey, we have a certain number of people who are bought into listening to these podcasts every day, every month, every week. They believe in it, so do you want to reach them or not? And that's kind of the approach that I think we want to take with this.
Yeah, it's so cool that you said that. I feel like nowadays everything's becoming so much more transparent. When you literally have talk show hosts creating the Tonight Show from their living room,
Right.
right, on a webcam, it's like it's all kind of an even playing field now. And so, I mean, it's just about, like you said, it gets down to the audience. It doesn't matter, how they get the information. It's their choice, and everyone has their own preferred method of getting notifications. Some people like YouTube, some people it's a podcast, others it's a newsletter. So you're doing, a little bit of all these things, that all these channels that you're on. So like you said, you just got to get to people where they are. You got to understand your audience and really just go where they are. So, okay. That pretty much wraps up all my questions. Do you guys have anything that you'd like to add, or any tips or advice for someone looking to start a podcast at all?
Well, I think I would just say, I would not worry about, hey, how much, am I going to get 1,000 people listening to this thing right away, or am I going to get, I think, we went into this, I didn't really know what good numbers were for a podcast, right. And I still don't entirely. So I don't know. I've tried to, we're in the Lion Publishers group, and I've kind of bounced some thoughts off other Lion members about, hey, what, for those of you who do a podcast, like, what's a good number? Right. And I think what I've learned in talking with some of those folks and some other studies that have been done is that it's not necessarily about, especially for a local entity like us, you're not going to get 10,000 listens a day, but right. If you are getting that core group of listeners, there's some real value there, because a lot of times those people are some of the movers and shakers in your community. And so I think anytime you get a core group of listeners or a core group of readers, it's like the websites that have paywalls, and we don't have one, but I know a lot of them, the hesitation in going to a paywall is, I'm going to lose a bunch of, visitors every month. I'm going to lose a lot of page views. But the people who are regularly on your site are going to keep coming anyway. That's your core group. So speak to them. Go target the advertisers that want to reach those people. And I think podcasts the same way. If you're doing video, same way. Right. That would be my advice. Just focus on that core group and go for it.
Right. Excellent. I love it. Anything to add to that, Tara, from your perspective as the producer of these two?
From my perspective, I would say you have to have a clear idea of why you're even doing this. Right. In the beginning, when I mentioned it to Tom, he said, right as COVID was hitting, I don't want to ask you to do this with no advertising dollars. I said, no, this is great. No one in our area is doing it. Just, right. We got to start somewhere. I wasn't afraid. I wasn't afraid to just reach out to people and get them to, understand, like, I am looking at it if I were listening, come and join me. And let's, the whole goal is to share and make those connections. And that's really it. You really have to know why you're doing it. Right. And then once you know and can convey that, it hits a core, they want to join you. Right. Yeah. And I just got to say again, I really think that the passion comes through. I mean, I can tell that you've got a passion about doing this. These are topics that are really interesting to you, and that really comes through, the authenticity. I guess that's kind of the point I was getting at earlier with the transparency that we see these days. Because thank you. That's nice. Yeah, definitely. Actually, when Tom and I first met, he mentioned something very similar to what you just said. You gave me a very, he did when we first met. A good energy. Yeah, well, he said to me, you're not just a job description, you are living it. Right. And I never thought of it in that way until he said it, and it connected the dots for me. So you're you're the audience and you're the creator. So I mean, you really can't get into a better situation than that. You're creating something that you would use. So you're the best judge of it, and you're going to take it where it needs to go.
And I would just say, and as we've been talking, it spurred something that I should have probably mentioned earlier, is that for publishers like me, and I mean, we're a tiny entity. I'm trying to do 10 different things, every hour.
Right.
So for small publishers, hey, there are people in your community like Tara who are passionate about helping the community, reaching out in whatever ways they can. That's how she and I met, is that she was doing a community event a couple of years ago and reached out to us to see if we could give it a little bit of a mention, which we did. And then we got to talking, and look what's come of it. And so there are other people like that in every community. And I think publishers, sometimes we have to reach out and maybe be more aware of them and invite them into our umbrella. And so maybe that's how you start a podcast. You find somebody in your community who's passionate about something, and you kind of give them the reins and see what happens. And I think that builds more community involvement. It builds, it just helps expand your overall network, really.
Definitely. Yeah. I love it. I mean, it's like a modern day columnist or something. You could have all these different podcasters that are in the community. They don't really work at the paper. They're just a columnist, a contributor. That's cool. So you guys just kind of met in the community. Do you have it? I guess I was just wondering, like, how could you find people like this? Maybe look at people that are already writing blogs or something and just say, hey, let's partner up. We've got this, established organization, and you're trying to grow, and we could help you grow, and you could help us at the same time. I don't know. You guys just kind of met coincidentally, right? But
yeah, that's right. I mean, but I think you're exactly right. I mean, there are different, in every market, there's different, websites or super hyper local, blogs, or maybe somebody who's even dabbling in podcasting already, who would appreciate that platform that we as, community publishers have. So yeah, don't be afraid to reach out to those folks and figure out how you can work together rather than trying to reinvent the wheel on your own. Tap into somebody who's already involved and interested and maybe even doing it,
Right. Very cool. Yeah, that's how you get the the unmistakable passion that comes through in the content. Awesome. Well, that's all that I have on podcasts for today. And I know you guys are really busy. You got a lot going on, so I wanted to wrap this up. I just wanted to mention the app really quick, which you mentioned, Tom. Any feedback for me on this? How's it working out for you? Is there any response from customers yet, or?
Yeah, I mean, we have. It's funny. So every time I post an article, and I've got every notification set, so I get notified every time I post anything. I will instantly, on occasion, go to Google Analytics and just see how many people are, immediately reading that article from the app.
Right.
And and it's a number that keeps growing, so I like that. I think I like the immediacy about it. We're trying to promote it as best we can, because I really, I look at it as a way that we can help folks who maybe aren't regularly reading us just have that instant connection with what's going on in their community. And we dedicated some of our Facebook grant toward that, because part of that was designed to how can we reach out to the underserved community, or the lower income level community who maybe doesn't have a computer at home, but they've got smartphones, and so can we keep them abreast, particularly about COVID, but then broadly about anything. And I think it's been good. It's been well received. We've gotten some good compliments on it.
Awesome.
And I'm excited to kind of see how it continues to grow for us.
Fantastic. Yeah, I think the push notifications are the key with this, and just having the real estate on the phone is good, but it's like we were just saying earlier, you got to kind of just be wherever people are. If people haven't signed up for your newsletter and they're not on social media, but they want these real-time updates, this is a good example of something that would probably be their only real option. So, I know there's not a lot of people that aren't on social media at all, but it's just about kind of being everywhere. Like there's this feeling that you get when you see a brand in multiple places. It's just like, wow, these guys are just like larger than life, So they're doing podcasts. And how many people work there again? It's 3 people, 1 full-time person. How is this possible? So yeah, man, this is great. And so I remember, yeah, this was part of the Facebook grant. So yeah, I would just say keep any feedback you have coming, back at us, because it is a still a work in progress. I mean, we're adding new features to it all the time. So let me know if you have any issues at all or any questions about it. I'd really be interested.
I will. Yeah, I will. I appreciate that.
For sure, man. All right, you both. Well, thank you so much for the time. We'll wrap it up here. You spent almost an hour with me, and I really appreciate that. I know you guys are busy, so I'll let you go for now, okay?
Thank you. Nice to meet you.